Very much, Nick.
Madam Chair, kia ora koutou. We're just going to put up the graphics. We're hoping to show a video, actually, a fly-through, but we'll see how that goes.
Colin, just so you're aware, you've got two submissions, one on the perimeter walkway, one on the biodiversity partnership.
That's right.
We've allowed 10 minutes for each, but that obviously includes the question time normally as well. Okay? But I'm just aware that you can talk very well, so I just want you to to know that in advance.
Okay, so I'm Colin Merck and I'm representing, together with Jeremy here and Stan and Eleanor and Dell behind me, the Christchurch Perimeter Trail Steering Group. This is a concept that has been around for a long time. It's almost a quarter of a century, actually. And so most of you will have perhaps also seen the recent press articles, which give you a pretty good idea of what the whole concept is about. You can see the first couple of pictures there show an overview of the Christchurch metropolitan area, with the perimeter walkway shown in different sort of coloured segments around that entire area. We'll sort of have a look through that a little bit later on. So it's an important bringing together of nature and people, and it's a 130 kilometre walkway as a minimum, but it can be expanded with many sort of side trips and treks along the way. And there are many points of interest to be sort of picked up as one goes. It very much sort of focuses on sort of biodiverse futures for New Zealand and for Canterbury and Christchurch, but it covers many sort of aspects of geography and history as we go. I guess it's a little bit of light relief, hopefully, for you today, in that it's something that's going to cost very little for the city, but have enormous and huge benefits, both socially, health-wise, and economically. So the basic facts there: about 130 kilometres, cycle-friendly route options, mostly comprising existing pathways, and that's important, which means cheap runs on the board to boost tourism, promoting us as an eco-city. The route features high levels of natural history, diversity, and encompasses all the sort of main natural and many cultural historical features. Importantly also, and the City Council has already contributed a lot to this, much of the scoping has already been done. It's already been an award winner. You see the picture there of the Golden Foot Awards that we actually won, because the thing has in fact been happening on the ground over about sort of 12, 15 years through the 2000s. Of course, there are many sort of precedents for this kind of exercise overseas, and the Pennine Way in England, the London Capital Ring Walkway, which you can see covers a similar distance and similar kinds of concept in a way to what we're proposing here. But also in New Zealand, we know how the Otago Rail Trail has been an enormous boon to the Otago province in providing these sort of combination of exercise and appreciation and interpretation of the countryside. There are many sort of commercial opportunities, which is obviously very important to the future rebuild of the city, but it does require perhaps a bit of a shift in the way we've seen and visualised the city in the past, rebranding it as an eco-city. We see that along the way, and it could be covered over a many-day walk, especially sort of for some tourists who'll come to do maybe a whole week to get round the whole thing, will utilise local accommodation, bed and breakfast, taverns, cafe culture, cycleways, being part of the New Zealand Cycleway, for example, and also the educational ramifications of that. The pictures there are largely from Germany, actually, Spreewald, which again represents this sort of combination of nature and culture. This also fits within a sort of a wider eco-city context, rebuilding the city as a multi-dimensional brand, incorporating and reflecting and celebrating all of its history, both natural and culture. So we're now, I think, going to try this video. I think we can pretty much get it going. Okay, so here we are. So it takes you through, of course, the existing crater rim walkway, starting here at the bridle path and the top of the gondola, which is a sort of starting point, out to Godley Heads, through Taylor's Mistake and across Scarborough to all those sort of cliffs and coastal rocky kind of habitats, through Sumner, wonderful opportunities there for, of course, bed and breakfasts and tavern and cafe culture, entering through to the mouth of the estuary, around through Red Cliffs there, and into the very rich bird life around the estuary, and around the Pioneer Walkway there in the historic Ferrymead area, Charlesworth Reserve, again around the estuary, past all of those bird life, Bexley, which is of course going to be a huge natural environment in the future, the lower Avon River, the Cocaine Reserve, up through some of the red zone to Travers Wetland, and then up through Tamara Park to Bottle Lake Forest, which is rich in orchids and ferns and other native wildlife, across the high hill of the refuse station, through Brooklands, Spencerville, mouth of the Waimakariri River, many different features along there, the famous braided rivers there, Clearvale and,
Clearwater,
Clearwater, and McLean's Island, which represents a very significant natural environment of savanna woodlands, coming through to the head of the Avon River, the Avon catchment, down through the sort of very garden city sort of aspect, the Island Gardens, through to the University and Riccarton Bush there, obviously an icon, through to Addington and a whole lot of little side routes there, and into the headwaters of the Heathcote River now, the Wigram Retention Basin, and then across the Great Divide to the Hallswell catchment, Westlake, Hallswell, through to, again, a little bit of suburbia and parkland, but the wonderful Hallswell Reserve, Quarry Reserve, then back up onto the hills to the top of the Crater Rim Walkway, and back to the starting point, looking at those wonderful vistas of the harbour, and through, of course, to the rest of the city of Banks Peninsula. So that gives you a bit of a sort of a flavour. So we've achieved a lot of things already. There's the over 150 on our mailing list for the walking events that have been running since the 1990s. The Press Facebook article quickly gathered well over 300 likes and 105 shares, and many letters to the editor in support of it, messages of support, great deal of interest. Hundreds of people there engaged in our Facebook page, public meetings, press publicity, we're grateful for that. Steering groups being formed, and importantly, we've engaged with a number of potential sponsors already, and they have allowed us to mention their names, some of the Rotary clubs, the Addington Raceway is interested, Christchurch Horticultural Society to reflect the Garden City sort of component, and I can just add Landcare Research is also keen to promote a kind of a buyer blitz in the sort of opening event in November. We've been refining the track route, we've got an internet domain ready to go, and got quotes for some of the specific costs of the website and other matters there. So what's next? Importantly, and that's where we come to the City Council, we need yours and ECAN's re-endorsement, because bear in mind this has been around the traps a number of times already. There's already been votes for it from previous councils and even money proposed. So it's really kind of a reinvigoration of something that had already been on the way. We want to complete those sponsorship arrangements, track marketing information panels, publishing a website, track guides, marketing, contributing to rebranding the city as more of an eco-city so that we don't have all our eggs in one basket as we've had in the past. And importantly, that November launch event, a weekend, communities joining together around the city at the start-finish junctions of each leg, walking relays and guided tours on each leg with Landcare Research involved in that, and there's interest from the ultramarathon people and the bikeathon people. How can the city make this happen? Well, as I've said, we need that formal endorsement of the Christchurch Trail by including this in the annual plan and budget. Importantly, we need to have some staff time directed to providing the necessary liaison, graphic design, interpretation policy, documentation and marketing of the project. We've suggested some sort of budget items to help with the sort of co-funding of the capital expenditure for signage and information boards, and assist with liaison between the project team, ECAN, and other property owners to facilitate planning decisions as required. So that's what we've come to inform you about, and hopefully seek your support. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for an excellent presentation. Can I just... Oh, no, Ali's going to ask it, are you? Yeah. No, you go. You go.
Would something like this lend itself to the discussion that we've been having about sort of fruit forests and fruit trees and things like that? Would that be something?
Hopefully you could sort of get a flavour of the fact that it's very diverse. It covers everything from sort of our best natural environments like Riccarton Bush, Travers Weapon, the estuary, the braided rivers and so on, but it also goes through suburbia, and we pick up community gardens like the wonderful one that's at the University of Canterbury, and so it's to show and showcase the whole richness of our city and make it really sort of vibrant and alive to not only its citizens but of course to visitors and people coming in, and we think it'll be a major attraction. This event we're planning in November we foresee could be an annual event actually.
What I can pick up from here is that you're looking at a lot of participation in the operational maintenance. Or maintain the fruit trees.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, at the top there, around the sticks, are you tapping into the source to the sea walkway with them?
This would be sort of a side trip, if you like, or
doesn't it follow the same
another
path?
sort of component that adds into it. But to keep faithful to the notion of a perimeter, it kind of covers the sea end of it, because it crosses the mouth of the Styx River, or comes along the mouth of the Styx River, and but apart from that, it leaves that to other promotion, other sort of. There's other trails in the city, of course.
Is yours on the south side of the Styx?
No, it runs along the Waimakariri River, so it comes up through Spencerville, Brooklands Lagoon, Brooklands, and then across the mouth of the Styx River, and then onto the banks of the Waimakariri River, and then runs right along there to McLean's Island.
We'll additionally be looking to promote nearby tracks and things, as well as alternative ideas for people while they're en route.
Yes, and so you'd also combine with the coastal pathway, would you, around Sumner?
Part of that as
I
well.
should have mentioned that the coastal walkway is, of course, part of
it.
that bit from Sumner through to
Right,
Birmingham.
fantastic,
Yes,
thank you.
definitely.
Colin, just before I allow a whole pile of questions on this, because I think it's going to spark them, how long does your next one need, the biodiversity partnership? Does that need 10 minutes? Or?
Well, I can keep it pretty short. I'll try to cut it down to short.
Yeah, right. Okay, Andrew, then Glenn.
Thanks for the presentation, Colin. I'll keep the question very, very brief. What we can do to help from what you're asking is resources, marketing, collateral and funding. Is there no track upgrading required to achieve this?
No, I mean, most of it is on existing walkways which are maintained either by the City Council or ECAN already. And we are looking at sort of getting arrangements with organisations like Rotary who are interested in doing some sort of surveillance kind of maintenance. I mean, it's obviously not hard maintenance on the footpaths, but in terms of marking and that kind of thing, keeping the signage sort of in good shape.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin. It looks like we've already got a stadium. I think this would be tremendous. Do you think 130 k's is definitely very doable for an event? So do you think, a multi-sport event, I can see several disciplines in there, would really give it a lift. I know there are different dimensions to it.
One of our working party is an ultra marathon runner, and he is driving some of the efforts towards having that sort of type of thing happening on our opening day.
Just running's a long way, but I mean, you've got a 2-hour paddle, you've got other things in there. I think
Yes.
it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By way of additional funding, are you actually a registered charitable trust?
Sorry?
Are you a registered charitable trust?
Well, yes and no. We have sort of operated under the umbrella of Sustainable Aotearoa Christchurch.
Okay.
So we could exist as we're sort of a subcommittee of them. So, you know, we can use them as a bank account if necessary.
Okay, I'll just tell you at afternoon tea time another place that's...
Right. So I'll just change my clothing here.
Do you want me to drive this as well?
Yes, I'll do that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I should have mentioned I had an endorsement from Eleanor Bissell at the back there, who's the coordinator for KCC, who also, has used the track and supports it for the hundreds of families that exist in that group. Okay, so the Christchurch Biodiversity Partnership, again, this is another idea that's been around for some time, but sort of been interrupted by various things. It's another win-win situation for the city, which needs more strings to its bow, and it kind of really provides a wider framework for things like the walkway. So I will sort of, and I say there that I'm sort of representing the multitudes, and I'll sort of explain that as I go along. But there are, we've had public meetings with 60 or so people supporting this and making motions and support of it. So representing all the major sort of conservation groups. So here's the sort of main proposal. You've got hopefully. Oh, Eleanor, could you pass those around for me? Sorry. Whoopsie.
That's all right, I can do that. You keep that one.
Right, sorry about that. So you'll see there anyway, you'll have a copy in front of you in a minute. It provides a forum for nature conservation interest groups in the region, shares knowledge about the unique and vulnerable biodiversity of the city, supports the council, importantly, in implementing the biodiversity strategy through citizen science and having eyes and ears of the whole community available to fast-track information exchanges about threats and opportunities for biodiversity, and surveillance, early warnings of biosecurity risks. And importantly, again, I know it's all about money these days, to save resources and time for the City Council and community who, I'm afraid to say, suffer submission fatigue instead of being engaged in the things that they really want to be doing on the ground and working in productive dialogue leading to shared outcomes. So that's sort of pretty much my key message there. There's a lot to be done. We're in the middle of a biodiversity crisis. So I'm not going to go into all of that. I hope you'll trust the fact that, I know a little bit about biodiversity and there are big issues there. We're losing it. We've got major pest problems. The next page there shows that that we want to see that the garden city image reflects all the layers of our heritage and that we transition to a more inclusive eco-city brand. And that this is reflective of the partnership between Māori and Pākehā that can be symbolised in the landscape as well. And of course, importantly, this provides for native wildlife when you have the right plant species present. So also a more ecologically based management of the green space in the city and reviewing some of the sort of policies which we think are not necessarily conducive to fulfilling the biodiversity strategy as it stands. So of course there's lots of good news. The Travers Wetland Trust has had a wonderful partnership with the City Council, so that's a good model there. The Waterway Enhancement Program from the 90s has also left us a wonderful legacy. Of course, some people now want to get rid of it all in order to kind of clean up the rivers, but we won't go into that right now. Christchurch, unbeknownst to most people, both in the city and also beyond, is actually very rich in natural environment and species. There's like as many native plants in our city as there are in our national parks. We have many native bird species. We're really the bellbird capital of New Zealand. There's lots of interesting little creatures as well, wonderful lizards and leaf vein slugs and wetters and what have you. All of these things to be enhanced. Some quite rare plant species which need to be identified and protected, and also to be brought, the wider public made aware of these things. Even our lawns have got little native herbs growing in them, and I've already mentioned the important natural values out in McLean's Island. It's been a bit neglected, but it's one of the rarest ecosystems in the country actually, and it's being diminished all the time, especially by pressures from dairying. What can be done? Restoration and regeneration is rife. There's nature is able to respond if we give it a chance. We can get sort of bare ground to forest. The top left to the bottom right pictures there show a project that was started as a sesquicentennial project, 1990, and within 15-20 years you've got fruit in Kahikatea and Matai and many other native, quite a developed ecosystem there. And many little plants are sort of popping up in places like in the Ernie Clark Reserve there, massive sort of regeneration from some of the old native trees that were planted along with the English parkland trees in the past. I'll flick past that one. One of the important things about all of this is integrating people and nature rather than separating and polarising them. Native species can exist right in the heart of the city. We don't need to separate them all the time. It's important, as the the Avon project Avon River Precinct is being developed to sort of pick up on that theme of interwoven threads of a rope representing the partnership between nature and culture and between the treaty partners, symbolised in the sort of plant and vegetation and landscaping. And when you have that and you have the wildlife coming, then you have a better reconnection of people and nature. All of this, of course, contributes to that sort of branding of the city as an important destination with lots of riches to come and visit. We've already done the Christchurch Perimeter Walkway, you know about that. There's various web tools that can contribute to this. The Nature Watch online system for recording natural history observations. There's already many observations that engages people and citizen science as part of those eyes and ears, and being able to report all kinds of both nature and also weed species and pest species, and alert city officers and managers to dealing with those things as required. We could be much further ahead for less money if we had better, more sensitive management systems. Here's a terrible case of trees being ring-barked, and that's been a problem for the city for many years. I remember Joe Carton saying back in the Waimarie Council days, many plants, very costly, very expensive to the city, are just being wasted by poor management. We also need to get on top of weeds. 1 year's seeding, 7 years weeding. We've got some serious problems. There's the big sort of gunnerer, but things like sycamore and also things like that big tussock sedge there, which has spread out from Otahuna, become a major problem down our rivers because we haven't really got onto it when people have actually wanted the council to do something about it and nip it in the bud. There's also various sort of design ecological principles. So the point is, the City Council, I think you probably agree, can't meet its international, regional and city obligations on its own, particularly in a sort of a piecemeal way. It's under enormous economic pressure, we all know that, but there's a very willing community out there wanting to help and pull in beside, but that requires a dialogue between the two. So there is that expertise and eyes and ears out there. It's costing money and biodiversity lives, not to do this. Some of, the pest problems, could become uncontrollable. There's advice and suggestions and recommendations out there. They need to be sort of picked up. Citizens have demonstrated they want more nature in their neighbourhoods, and I can quote the city citizens' own surveys, which show 54% people want more nature in their neighbourhood, plants in their neighbourhood, and about 75% want more native birds in their neighbourhood. Lots of other surveys demonstrate the same thing. Tourists are becoming more discerning about authentic, clean and green and Christchurch has long undersold its biodiversity brand. So what we need is a formal arrangement between the combined conservation groups in Christchurch and the council to establish a regular dialogue about matters of mutual interest. The Christchurch Biodiversity Partnership needs to have some sort of status as a consultative interested party to all environmental development conservation matters, and of course to support officers in setting up a Christchurch biodiversity partnership, and together to achieve the outcomes and the aspirations for the city's biodiversity strategy and its eco-marketing. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. You only went 10 minutes over time. That's fantastic. Dave.
Look, we heard from an earlier submitter in the upper Heathcote catchment about the problems with waterway enhancement and its ability, the waterway's ability to quickly remove excess water in times of storm. What's your response to that, and any solution to the sort of diverse opinion that's starting to evolve between some quite nice waterway enhancement and now post-earthquake an issue of dispersing floodwaters?
Well, as you know, it's a very complex thing, and the council, of course, has just embarked in a sort of a 2-week project dealing with one particular part of the city, and we've heard those recommendations from certain quarters. But I have to say, you know, it's a simplistic view of the world. Of course, the original waterway enhancement was done with modelling of the rivers and their flood levels and all that kind of thing years ago. But of course, then we dropped the ball to some extent. The waterway enhancement programs have stopped, and that whole program kind of dissipated. But the sort of the broader answer, the generic answer, is that of course we need more than just engineers and people who see you know, an immediate problem in their backyard involved in the conversation. And of course my own expertise or my own discipline in ecology is you know, one of those disciplines that needs to be involved increasingly, rather than it being all in the hands of one kind of discipline. So to kind of be able to think outside the square, to look at, you know, is that the only solution, just to rip out all the vegetation again and set us back, you know, a couple of decades of tremendous benefit to the city in terms of habitat and environment and bird life and stuff. So we need to find some other sort of solutions. I know that's not a very sort of clear cut, but you know, you've had a whole team, you know, dealing with this for a couple of weeks. It requires, you know, a good measured response, which happy to discuss at some future time.